Alright, guys, this is the season 5, episode 1 of Peaky Blinders, and in this video, we are going to talk about all the body language analysis that is done by Thomas Shelby, our favorite character in this channel. So let's get started. Alright, guys, this is the first clip, or this is the only clip that we are going to discuss. So let's play this and then I'll explain all the analysis that has to be portrayed.
Come.
Mr. Shelby, this arrived from New York. It's from Winston Churchill. He says he was in New York and had dinner with Charlie Chaplin, and Chaplin mentioned your name.
So I was in New York.
Can you just see that all this time this secretary came? Let's just catch it again.
From Winston Churchill.
Come.
Mr. Shelby, this arrived from New York. It's from Winston Churchill.
Yeah, just see all this long duration. He just said come and then he only looked at the letter, not at the face of secretary. So what this portrays is it is actually what I mentioned in the earlier video if you have not checked it out, so just go and check it. What he did is that he just took a glance on this letter and not on the face of his secretary because he knows that the secretary is not important, but the letter is. And he's not saying and ums, he's just on the point. Tommy is always on the point, actually. Yes, so let's get started.
He says he was in New York and had dinner with Charlie Chaplin, and Chaplin mentioned your name.
So I was in New York, and he doesn't mention the crash.
No. Even though in the bar last night, Mr. Churchill's private secretary reckoned he lost £75,000 in 2 hours.
Just see, guys, we can have a contrasting example between two men. This is the beta male and this is the alpha male. You can see his body language, it is shrugged, his muscles are tight. Let me use something. Yes, just see. His muscles are tensed, shoulders are shrugged, and then you see his face is very submissive type of thing. Even though Tommy is looking at the bottom, still he's looking very alpha because see he's relaxed by the shoulders. Can you see how spread they are? And he is using the power domination method. This is the new method that I'm going to explain. Just see that Tommy is using his fingers like this. The opposite one is when there is a hand and you are like doing something as begging type of thing. Like you are asking someone, this is a very submissive type. But if you are dominating, then your hand has to be clasped like this. Can you see this? Like this thing that I just made? Well, actually, my drawing is pretty bad, so just deal with it. So he is not giving attention and everything is going fine.
And you? Were you affected, Mr. Shelby?
I'm going to my apartment. Adam, you lock up.
Sorry.
This is the best example I can see. You see, when people are asking you questions that what are you doing or what have you done, so we generally just come in the frame and we keep on saying and answering those their question. So what it does is that it lowers our respect. And in fact, there is a contrasting example that Tommy just showed us. When the secretary asked him that how much money did he lose, he just said that he had to lock up the apartment and he has to go. He just didn't answer his question and he just brought up a different question as if he's not even listening. So that is a very great thing. Let me catch up it once again.
And you? Were you affected, Mr. Shelby?
I'm going to my apartment. Adam, you lock up.
Sorry.
Did you get that? How amazing it was. Now, let's see secretary. He's the beta male. He's clasping his hands because he's tensed, he's nervous. And that's what we actually do when we are nervous. We actually try to tense and just do some fidgeting types of things. We tend to shake ourselves, and that is actually pretty bad because then it will lower your value and then you will be just of no meaning and no sense.
Mr. Shelby, you have one more appointment. You set it yourself, it's in the diary from last week. A journalist from the Times. He used to be with the Birmingham Mail. He sent you some questions. You said you wanted to meet him. He's outside.
Yes. Send him in.
Mr. Shelby, Mr. Levitt from the London Times.
Have a seat.
Just see how embarrassing it was.
Adam, you go home. I'll lock
Let
up.
me catch it up once again.
Mr. Shelby, Mr. Levitt from the London Times.
See, this is Mr. Levitt. He's a reporter and he's very excited to see Tommy. But at the other hand, Tommy is not very excited. He's just minding his own business. And now this journalist, he is arriving to shake the hand. Just see how just how quick he is. What alpha men do is that they take their time, they move slowly, step by step, not wasting their energy, and they don't just show themselves or others that they are tense or they are nervous. But see, this reporter, he's also beta male. What he's doing is he's coming very fast. Let me catch it up once again.
Have a seat. Send him in.
Mr. Shelby, Mr. Levitt from the London Times.
Have a seat. Adam, you go home. I'll lock up.
Just see how much excited he was when he was arriving in the office, and now he's just got embarrassed. Well, actually, it is not the thing that I would suggest. If someone is just coming to shake hands, then shake it. If you're saying it, then it seems to be rude, but in this case, it's the alpha type of thing if there are many enemies for you, right?
Mr. Shelby, do you remember me?
Just see, this is the beta smile. Tommy is very serious. He's lighting a cigarette very slowly, very just see this guy. Well, his body language is actually quite great right now because he's not tensed. But later we'll see how his body language changes. His eye contact is actually not at the table, but directly at Tommy, which I admire. And he's laughing. Well, what laughing does is that in the primitive type of period, you just get quite low level because the boss doesn't laugh. He doesn't laugh every time, but the employee does. That is the actually the difference that you can see.
No.
Once in Small Heath, you were burning photographs of the king.
London Times, you've done well.
Just see how relaxed Tommy is. He's saying, London Times, you have done well. Because in the season one, if you remember, you guys, if you have watched it, yes, because he was burning the photographs of the king. And now everything seems fine, right?
You, sir, to put it mildly, I sent you a list of questions.
Yeah, I misplaced them.
Yeah, well, you have a lot on your plate.
Yes.
Guys, can you just see how assertive Tommy is? Because when somebody asks you a question that have you done this or have you done that? And if you're being assertive, just directly say yes or no. That is the alpha energy that just comes from you. That is the aura that comes from you.
All I remember is that your questions interested me.
Oh, good. Sorry, this. Here we are.
Can you see how ill-prepared this Michael Levitt is? He's fidgeting, he was smiling, he was saying sorry. You see, saying sorry all the time is not the best option because it just depreciates your value of reputation. If you are saying sorry all the time, this or that, this happened to me, sorry, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work for you. And the smile, well, actually, the smile is great in these days, but just if you are in a business interaction, just be serious if you are talking about something serious. That is all I would say.
Yes. So, Mr. Shelby, traditionally in this country, print journalists take no interest in the private lives of politicians.
Private lives.
But in these modern times, especially in America, journalists are beginning to, well, that is to say, yes. Read.
Just see how tense Michael Levitt is. He's saying down, he's saying up, he's fidgeting, he's saying ums and ahs. Just don't say ums and ahs. If you have to think something, then have a pause of around 1 to 2 seconds, or 3 seconds, or even 5 seconds, no matter how much time you take. Just be silent in that moment. Because what silence does is, it is a very powerful thing. It makes people drive to have more attention from you. And that is the best thing you can have. You see, Michael Levitt in every way.
Readers are beginning to say, wants to know more about the men who represent them.
Of course. In these modern times.
Well, actually, this is the best thing that Tommy did. He's not breathing like Michael Levitt, like every time. He's breathing heavily, but just for once to speak. And then he's saying a very few words. You know what Alpha Man do? They speak very less because the less you speak, the more power you have. This is, I actually studied it from the 48 Laws of Power from, I don't recall the author. Just go and have some session or summaries of that video. It is actually a very great book.
Whereas before, it would have been seen as ungentlemanly to ask a public figure questions about personal matters or business
Oh,
affairs.
well, no need to worry. I'm no gentleman.
Well, this is the first thing that I would appreciate of Michael Levitt.
Or business
Oh,
affairs.
well, no need to worry. I'm no gentleman.
Just see from this point, when Tommy calms us down by saying that no worries, I'm no gentleman, Michael Levitt actually just becomes relaxed. And we can actually see it from here because his eye contact and not trying to fill the gaps in the silence. He's just like, see how silent he'll be for next 3 seconds. Can you see it? But then the contrasting effect, he now has to ask the question about his personal life, I guess. So he's fidgeting the pen and the fingers. And this is not the best thing. You should not fidget your fingers when you are in the interview or something like that because it will fuck you up. It will give the interviewer the power to control or manipulate your emotions. You have to be strong, you don't have to fidget, right?
Mr. Shelby, as I said in my letter, 10 years ago I was a journalist on the Birmingham Evening Mail. And of course, working in that city, it was impossible not to know your name. And your
Can you see the smirk from Mr. Levitt? Let me catch that moment again.
at Birmingham.
Just see. This is the micro expression that we can actually see from alpha men. This is the actually a good thing that I can see from Michael Levitt's body language. The beta male's body language is smirk. When you are smirking, you actually show the other person that you are confident and sometimes arrogant. Smirking is not the best option all the time, but in these scenarios, you can give a smirk. You can actually give a smirk to a girl or a woman who you love because it just creates more sexual energy and it is actually intimate.
And your reputation. So when I saw that you had been elected as a socialist,
You reflected on the fact that working people can indeed change their lives for the better. Channel their abilities in new directions, discover better methods, aim for happier outcomes, even win awards for industry. You can write this down, Mr. Levitt.
the question I have for you, Mr. Shelby, is this. With your conversion from bookmaker to socialist politician,
Can you just see the stillness in Tommy Shelby's reaction? Just see
the
this,
question I
how
have for
still he
you,
is.
Mr. Shelby, is this.
From this point and to the end point, just see how still and calm he is with a sense of seriousness in his face. It is actually a very alpha thing you can do.
With your conversion from bookmaker to socialist politician a gradual thing or a road to Damascus experience?
This time, I'd say Tommy didn't do the right thing. Just let me cast that clip.
To socialist politician a gradual thing or a road to Damascus experience?
Just see, he's looking down. Looking down isn't the best option, I'd say, because if you look down, you seem to be quite uh, beta and submissive. What you can do is that you could look left or to the right, and it will be the best option. Because if you look down, it is not the best option. And well, I'd say to the director that they should have told Tommy to look on the sides, not down, right? Because this is very beta thing. And on top of that, he's smiling and looking downwards is the worst thing, worst nightmare for a body language analysis coach. Well, Tommy did it, so just ignore this.
Yeah. Now I hear that question. I remember receiving your letters, and I distinctly remember your use of the word bookmaker.
Can you just see how irritated Tommy is? He's taking a deep breath, he's talking quite fast, and now, then he also closed his eyes. Just see it.
Now I hear that question. I remember receiving your letters, and I distinctly remember your
Just see. When you think something, you tend to close your eyes, and well, actually, it is acceptable. And other thing what people do is, or you can also do it, is when you think, just look at your left and on the top, like top left. This indicates that you are thinking.
use of the word bookmaker.
Were you not a bookmaker, sir?
Yes. I gained a license in 1919 for on-track betting. But since 1923, I've made my fortune in the manufacture, sale, and export of motor cars.
And lately gin.
And lately, 3 new homes for orphan children.
Well, you see, when somebody is trying to interrupt you, what you do is you just get into their frame and you start answering according to your question, according their question. When Michael Levitt said, lately 3 new chins, what Tommy did was extraordinary. He just continued as if he didn't listen, just with the secretary when he was asking about those, I don't recall, like the money, how much money Tommy Shelby lost. He just said that he had to lock up the apartment. This is the thing, and we call it state breaking questions. What we do with state breaking questions is that when somebody asks you something, you just see it, you listen it, and appear yourself as you didn't even listen to it, and you just keep on carry on saying. It is good in certain scenarios, but not in certain other ones.
You can write all this down, Mr. Levitt.
I have another question, Mr. Shelby. In Birmingham, the time that I was there was a major Campbell. He was found dead. A member of your family was charged.
Another thing. Again, Tommy did the worst thing.
There was a Major Campbell. He was found dead. A member of your family was charged.
You see, it doesn't matter how much alpha or how much expert you become in the body language, you tend to give some cues or clues when you are tensed. For example, in this case, well, Tommy is actually master at this, so he is just giving out micro expressions, not the macro ones like Mr. Levitt did in the past. So what he did was that he broke the eye contact on the left, on the side. That is actually a good thing. But the bad thing he did was that after breaking it, he looked down. What he could have done was that he could have looked at the side and then again locked eyes with the Michael Levitt and having a deep breath. That could have been better, but just see, maybe the directors wanted to show us that he's getting tensed, and that is all right for this body language analysis.
Right, you answer me this. Answer me this.
One more thing. This thing I love for of Tommy. What he did was when Michael Levitt asked the question, he waited for around 9 to 10 seconds. He broke the eye contact. He laughed as if he's the alpha male, and actually he is. And then now he's again getting into the serious mode with his alpha body language, and just see how great eye contact this will be.
What is your Tory newspaper more afraid of? Is it evolution or revolution? And what is it about working class men like me, standing up in the House of Commons and speaking from the heart? What is it that so troubles you that you would try to undermine me?
I am talking about specific events,
Which I don't recall.
Can you just see how calm Tommy is? Because when you are in aggression, what certain people or actually most people do is that they would stand up and just yell at the journalist, and that would be a very worst beta thing that you could do, because being calm and being assertive is the best thing. Also, we can see the whispering effect that Tommy is doing. He's using the monotone. Monotone is the certain tone that you speak, not like the LA girls who do like this. What you have to do is that when you say something, just end your words at the lower pitch. And also, if you are close to someone like he is with Michael Levitt, like 3 to 4 feet, then you could whisper at the end, because whispering tends to give you more effect of attention.
With which I was never personally linked, and after which all convictions were quashed. Yeah, now I recall receiving your letter.
Just see the wide stance on which Tommy is now sitting on. From here, and then he goes up this line, then here and here. You see, what most guys said, like Michael Levitt was actually sitting previously, was he was quite tensed, his muscles were tensed, but on the contrasting effect, Tommy Shelby, his shoulders are wide apart, like actually wide apart, his chin is high, and he is locking his contact on Michael Levitt. This is fantastic. Guys, this is the small things. If you just add them up, add them up, add them up, it will just give you a great lasting effect.
And I recall that when I did, I asked a colleague of mine to carry out some research. Just a moment.
Guys, I just can't stop laughing. You see, Now Tommy is in very serious mood, and Mr. Levitt, a beta male who was transforming into the alpha male, is now again transforming into the beta male. He's so much tensed that he's looking back as if he's trying to find the exit, but nobody's in the office and he's scared as hell. Just see how tensed he is.
Here we are.
Again, this collar shifting. This is the actions that you do to relieve your stress from your body. I recommend, I'm saying this millions of times, but I want you guys to be the best in the body language. Don't flinch. Don't just do these types of things like fidgeting, all these stuffs.
Michael Levitt, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Journalist. Unmarried. Apartment in Maida Vale. Apartment opposite the underground station. Unmarried is underlined. Mr. Levitt enjoys walks in the park, sometimes alone, sometimes not alone, sometimes with other men.
Can you just see? Well, actually, guys, in 1920, being homosexual was illegal. So that's how Tommy is threatening Michael Levitt about it. And actually, when he said that sometimes with other men, Michael Levitt broke the eye contact and was looking down. This is very submissive. Well, my drawing seems like if Michael Levitt is crying, but he's not. He's very tensed. This is the best thing that Tommy does again and again, again and again on repetition.
Sometimes with other men.
Also, guys, this is the best thing. Like when you repeat the same word twice, it just gives a different and a stronger effect on your speech. Like if you have to emphasize on something, there are two ways. The first one is to have some stop, like of 1 or 2 seconds, and then say it in a monotone. The other effect is that you say the first thing very consistently, and on the second attempt, what you do is that you just stop and then again emphasize it. This gives a long lasting effect on your speech and people will hang on to you. It is actually what Obama does in his speech.
I'm old-fashioned, Michael.
Well, the fidgeting of Michael Levitt is necessary because he's the beta male right there, right? A beta lad.
I believe private lives should remain private. Not everything modern is good now, is it?
Yes, and other thing. What Michael Levitt did, he was swallowing. When you are threatened, what actually happens is that your capacity to swallow things becomes harder. So that's why you just takes an effort, and you can see a minor effect that was caused here. Like, let me just get the scene again.
I believe private lives should remain private. Not everything modern is good now, is it?
Right here. Did you see it? It is a sign. If someone is doing this and if you are trying to threaten them, then you have just accomplished your mission.
You're gonna write this down in your little fucking book.
Well, guys, this is the last thing, the last clip of this video. Well, for the summary sake of thing, we have learned different things. Just don't fidget, try to be relaxed, take a deep breath, and don't try to imitate Michael Levitt like he was doing earlier when he was uh, having deep breaths back and forth and back and forth. Take a deep breath, speak, and then again take a deep breath. Don't fidget, be relaxed, and actually, when you are afraid, then you will show certain signs as Tommy did. But you have to capture the control, right? You have to capture the control. And that is it, I think, for this video. Thank you guys for watching and don't forget to subscribe.